is the Team Objection Podcast for February 9th, 2023, episode 564. And if you're wondering, well, it's like a Thursday. That can't be correct. Well, we did mention at the end of the last episode where we reviewed Pokemon that there was an outside chance that, maybe the Suns might get Kevin Durant or something crazy. And it has happened. So that meant an emergency. We had to do a Suns cast sooner because it couldn't wait till next Tuesday. There won't be a show next Tuesday now. This is kind of in place of it, but we're here to talk about the Suns and Kevin Durant and the whole trade deadline, but, we are kind of the biggest trade of the entire deadline.
Trying to explain why this is such a big deal to someone who doesn't watch basketball is it's tough to convey the magnitude.
So I was actually thinking of this earlier today. I want to describe it to someone who gets Harry Potter. Imagine that the Gryffindor team traded Ron Weasley. You love Ron Weasley for Victor Crumb. That's the trade here. He's the best in the world, and we traded for him. You'll hate to see Ron go, but we got Victor Crumb.
I thought you were gonna say imagine a new Harry Potter book getting announced. It's well, these days,
yeah,
I don't know, but
hard to imagine.
Everyone hate it.
I mean, it's easily you could argue it's the biggest, most blockbuster trade in the history of the league. It's up there. Arguably, you could say it. That's what arguably is for.
Sure.
You can argue it's in the top.
Probably Kareem, but sure, it's in the conversation.
Yeah.
Just like when we wanted Booker to be in the MVP conversation, even though he wasn't going to win. Sure, it's up there.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a big deal.
I would say it's the biggest trade in Suns history.
Easily.
Because Barkley's the only other candidate, really, and Shaq's not a candidate. I don't think he was at the end of his career. So Barkley is the only other comparison, and he went to the finals immediately, so the success was there immediately. But Kevin Durant's better than Charles Barkley. Yes, there's no question about that, right?
So I'm going to interrupt just to be like, Dave, check to see if your microphone is selected properly, because I'm wondering if that's why you're quieter, because it's also sounding blown out. We're just going to fix it live, because we're live. Hello out there in the audience. Hello, how are you doing? Say hi to us. Just to double check.
How about now? Is that better?
Oh,
now
this
you're
is
even
better.
worse.
We can't hear you at all. Man,
I'll fix it. I'll do it live.
He'll be looking at it. We'll carry it while he tries to fix it.
So impact, though. What does this mean for our team? We're top 3 favorites now to win the title easily. Maybe top 2.
Maybe number 1.
Yeah, I mean, not according to Vegas, but if you're Boston right now, do you feel I can't wait to play Phoenix in the finals? I don't think so.
Dave, you're still super quiet.
Dave, we can't hear you at all.
Now it has gotten worse. Set it back to what it was. We'll have to get through it. It's almost like I guess I shouldn't have brought it up. It's now we can't hear him at all. I mean, I hear him. It's the faintest thing in the universe. He's shrugging. I'm going to need more than shrugs.
We're fixing it live. Let's go, Dave. You can do this.
Talking loudly, so this is what
It's nothing.
It's not
There's
going to
nothing
say this.
here. Dave, this is our big show. You're ruining it.
It's obviously your system's ruining it.
I don't think so, considering it was fine before and now it's not, and I haven't touched anything. So,
I have nothing. These are my audio sources.
not only that, but you're also echoing now, even though that's muted. I don't understand. I mean, hell, we might just restart at some point here. I don't know, because this is not workable.
This is not at all.
Now you have volume.
Okay, well, something.
And again, I stress I haven't changed anything.
I just changed one thing, but
Great.
I don't know.
Anyways.
Okay.
So, Dave, go back to making your profound point.
Okay, so biggest trade since Charles Barkley. That's what I think, at least.
Easily.
Barkley wasn't as good as Kevin Durant. I think that's the biggest thing we can take away from this is that there's no way. Barkley's on the list of some of the best players. Kevin Durant's ahead of him, I think, for sure.
But beyond that, I mean, what does this do to our team? So we lose Bridges and Cam, which is sad.
Let's
talk about that. What would you have rather? So it takes assets to get somebody like Kevin Durant. That's the cost of getting a superstar. Ideally, I would have rather Ayton had gone, but they didn't want Ayton. And I get it. The reason that I would have rather had Ayton gone is the reason why they didn't want Ayton in the trade. They wanted Bridges. That's how it works.
I mean, it's if Bridges is by the way he's played this year, especially has solidified that. Like the guy has taken off to a new offensive level that we didn't know he had.
Yeah,
and I don't think he's
a little part of it is they already have Nick Claxton, who I think you could make a case could have been an all-star, not should, but has actually been playing really well over the last couple months in particular. So it's like you sure as hell can't play the two of them together anyway. So yes, I guess to a certain level, yeah, you bring in Ayton and you figure it out. Like maybe you deal one for other assets, whatever. But it makes more sense for them not to want him anyways.
Yeah. No, man, that's a good. If Brooklyn stands pat, I don't know if they're going to. It's a good defensive team. Dorian Finney-Smith and
McHale, Cam's
and Bridges and
above average defender. Claxton's great.
Yeah. But I'm sad because you like to see the homegrown team get over the mountain, right? And we had that. But they had a chance, and they fucking blew it. And that's what I meant. When I said at the time, there's going to be repercussions from this loss and the magnitude of this loss. This is, I mean, do we make this trade had we won the finals last year? I don't know. I don't know if things work out the same way.
They probably don't. It's a weird trade because it's one of these, like, I'm ecstatic that it happened. I think I would have been okay if it didn't because I think we're coming into our own and that homegrown talent would have been nice. But holy shit, we have Kevin Durant. Like, I just can't, like, emphasize that enough.
Yeah, I mean, the McHale part is sad. Devin Booker is my favorite Suns player, not just because he's the best, but because of what his loyalty has represented. In some ways, it creates the opening for KD in the first place.
Yep.
But McHale was rapidly rising up the ranks because he was always there. He never missed a game as the Sun. You can say that officially now. Mm-hmm. And his attitude, his professionalism, his ability to get better, like it's everything you want as a fan of a basketball team and just an individual player. Cam too, and yeah, it's nice that they're together still because they're like clearly like, you know, BFFs. So that's nice, I suppose. You know, they can go live on a farm together. But McHale in particular, and look, you're going to have to give up something, as Sean said. It's going to hurt a little bit. You're not going to get Kevin Durant for nothing. However, that's the part that is sad. Jay Crowder, I haven't thought twice about it.
No.
Why would I?
And honestly, I am sad about Cam, but I was like, dude was hurt the whole, like, I got used to not having him there because he's been hurt so much over his tenure with our team. So it sucks, but he also can never stay healthy.
That was one of those things that I figured Cam would be part of it if it was going to happen. I was just praying that McHale didn't have to be. But, I mean, like you said, it makes sense. You got to give up something to get something. But really, I don't know, like just with McHale, it comes down to the guy too. Like everything he put forward as his public persona, and I don't know for sure how he is, you know, around in public and private. I mean, but geez, the guy was involved in the community. He got out there. He seemed to just have fun, and you just love seeing people being joyous in their life, and that's what he had every time he stepped. It was in on camera. People
usually put their best foot forward when they're in front of cameras or in public as opposed to in private, so I would have no reason to assume it wasn't that or better on the private side, but who knows? He could be a giant asshole and we don't know it.
No,
I doubt it.
He's just a great dude. So it's a sad day for that, but I mean, again, it's Kevin Durant. That gives us, like we were talking about it, but people are referring to the Suns as a big four now. Now, I think Chris Paul needs to kind of return to form for that to truly be a big four. Ayton needs to continue his beast mode, which he did not do tonight, but he can certainly get back. Big four, though, in Phoenix. Like, what's happening? This is like the biggest magnitude thing that's ever happened to our team.
It does make me laugh how just last week everyone was saying that DeAndre Ayton is soft and Chris Paul is washed and Booker's injured too much and the Suns are never going to win anything. All of a sudden, oh, you guys have a super team. This isn't even fair. This ring isn't going to mean anything to you guys. It's like, what? How did this switch in a moment?
I haven't heard this ring is going to mean nothing yet. I have not heard the takes of you're just creating a super team and it doesn't. I honestly don't care either. But
no, I don't either.
Some of that's going to be natural because there's a bit of hatred for our fan base in general, which we haven't really had a chance to go into like we wanted to on the show as a topic, but also some of it's going to come following Kevin Durant, who is a ring merchant, a chaser, who, you know, we all know about the Warriors stuff. So a little bit of that's just going to be some people against him joining us for that reason. Some people are just anti-Chris Paul, so that's going to happen still, but like, I don't care.
Nope.
I'm really excited to watch this team. Hopefully they're healthy and it's all be on the floor at the same time because, my God, forget all the potential downsides, the picks, the future, the question marks, the health. I'm sitting here and thinking to myself of two things, and they're not exactly like advanced basketball concepts, but Booker Durant pick and rolls Because, boy, if there's anybody you want to outlet for going downhill and on a 4-on-3 situation, if you're going to keep trapping Booker, I think Kevin Durant's pretty qualified. And then Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton pick and rolls. Because now those two, still formidable by themselves, have Booker and Durant waiting on the wings, and then insert fifth player here, Torrey Craig, Damian Lee shooting corner threes, whatever. Like, how do you defend that?
Yeah. Well, and I heard, I sent you guys that take of somebody talking about, you better beat us in the first 43 minutes of the game because we're going to have the last 5 minutes just locked every time.
It's a return to form from last season where if we got there, we're down 5 going in fourth quarter. We got this. No problem. Yeah. Like it feels like that again because we can hit those mid-range shots that most defenses are accustomed to giving up because they're low percentage shots. But we have the literal 3 best players in the league to shoot those shots on the same team.
Yeah, I think it's bad news for the rest of the league. I don't know. Our biggest weakness we've addressed 100-fold now. It was when you double Booker and you like make Chris Paul do everything he can't anymore. And that was our team. We were done. That's why Dallas killed us. Well, now you double Booker. You just have Durant. Like, what are you going to do?
And conversely, if you double Durant like the Celtics did all last year in the playoffs to create success, I would say, that doesn't work either. Because now you're staring at Devin Booker, who's devastating in those situations. So, like...
And what are you going to do? Like, we had no playmakers in that series. Jay Crowder ended up getting, like, so many shots at the end of a shot clock on a busted play. Well, now you're looking at... We'll just do what Golden State did on their couple of finals runs with Durant. Play breaks down. Just give the ball to Durant, and he'll take care of it for you.
Yep.
It's amazing. As much as I love Booker, we've never had a player to that caliber who can do that. Busted play, they can take it over. It opens up so many avenues for us. As long as we stay healthy, there's no better 4 in the league.
No, it's a cheat code, as people have said. Like, it really is just one of these, like, like you mentioned earlier, like, if Boston wants to play us, like, no, we're the team that nobody wants to play. Everyone's like, oh, shit, we got the Suns coming up. Like, God, I hope they have a bad game. Because if we're all firing, we're on all cylinders, I don't know how you beat us. I don't. It's that good.
Among the bad takes I saw out there, and there were many, because a lot of basketball fans are idiots. However, one of them was they don't have depth. And to me, that's the most telltale sign you don't know basketball worth shit.
Yeah.
It's not me being a homer. This is literally a 2 for 2. Mm-hmm. And Durant's better than McHale, much as we love him, and Cam's better than TJ Warren. But at the end of the day, we had the best player in the trade. The rest of the team is identical because Jay Crowder wasn't playing. So the bench is still Cam Payne, Landry Shamet, B.S. Mac Biombo, Jock Landale, blah, 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 Damian Lee, etc., right? That hasn't changed. Now, was that good enough before? Maybe, maybe not. You can argue that. But the idea that the trade ruined the depth, you're just a moron.
Yeah. No, somebody was like, in the NBA, especially, 4 quarters do not equal $1. And that's...
It never does.
It's
in the
so
entire
true.
History of the league.
You need the stars.
Mm-hmm.
I wish you didn't. I mean, very rare you get like a Detroit Chauncey Billups team. Like, it just so rarely happens.
The funny thing is, it's so rare that happens. That's the example. Like, what's another example? Like, name me another one. There isn't.
There isn't. And even then, that's, several borderline top 75 players of all time. So they didn't have like a mega star. No one's arguing that. But they had 4 very, very good players that comprised that starting lineup.
Still had at least one All-Star game where 3 of them were All-Stars. So, it wasn't...
And also the mid to late 2000s All-Stars were kind of a joke when you go back and look at those rosters. You want to talk about bygone eras of basketball, look at the talent pool in the NBA now. Some of the players that didn't make the All-Star game and some of the ones who... Like Zydrunas Ilgauskas made an All-Star game, for fuck's sake. I love Big Z, but he wasn't that good. Even at his peak.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing I'm coming away from this primarily, is that Devin Booker, ever since he's become Devin Booker, which is to say after his rookie season, really, has never played with a 20-point-per-game score. Ever.
No.
Not a one. Not a single one. In fact, the only one we've had since Amari Stoudemire is Eric Bledsoe. We don't need to talk about Eric Bledsoe. That's a different trade deadline and a different problem, and an era gone by. However, the point is, Booker has never had this kind of help. Ever. Anybody who can take this workload. Did Chris Paul help to an extent because of his facilitating and ability to run the offense? Yes. But he has no idea how easy his life is going to be now. If he thought it was with Chris Paul, because he didn't have to play point guard himself all the time, this is going to be something we have not seen from him before.
Well, he's a small idea, right? Because I just want to point out the Olympics and how great, like, you never know. You hope that these narratives pan out, but you never know for sure. And to be able to say they played together in the Olympics, they enjoyed it, and they're like, hey, let's keep this in mind, and let's see if we can connect again at some point. If we don't get Paul, and if they don't play in the Olympics, does Durant not force his way here, but does he request us so highly? Probably not.
Probably not.
We were his only target.
Yeah.
That was it. Like,
he even went to Brooklyn, and he was like, hey, if it's possible, like after their initial trade request, which was a demand, he rescinded it. With all the stuff with Kyrie, he was like, if it's possible, I would like to go to Phoenix still.
Mm-hmm.
And Brooklyn, to their credit, were like, all right, yeah, this is a sinking ship.
And you can see the difference because they spite traded Kyrie.
Yeah.
They clearly had no interest in a Lakers offer. That's where Kyrie wanted to go. Whereas they honored Durant's request, and deservedly so. I'm not saying that as a Suns fan. I'm saying because Durant didn't fuck them over, at least not willingly.
Yeah.
If he got hurt, and by the way, the last 2 times Durant's been hurt have been people falling into his leg.
Yeah.
Which is not an injury-prone problem. It's a giant men in the NBA problem. So you can't really fault him. The remarkable thing is just that those two played 74 games together.
Yeah.
In 4 seasons.
The
I think
big three?
4.5 seasons.
16 games.
16 games where they were 12-4.
Yeah.
And we want to talk about talent not realized. Now, people may be saying the same thing about this core of the Suns in 3 years, depending on what happens, but who cares right now? We're not at that point. We'll see.
Well, and that's why you all that stuff doesn't matter. Today, we had an opportunity to trade for top 15 all-time talent.
Yep.
And we took it.
Maybe top 10.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in just kind of breaking down what Durant means as far as stats. I heard a stat. The biggest stat I heard today was his efficiency. Then this is some Phoenix fans. I don't think the ones who kind of don't follow it as closely may not understand it. DeAndre Ayton shoots close to the basket, doesn't get a ton of shots per game, shoots 58% for the season. Pretty good. Kevin Durant shoots farther away from the basket, shoots a lot of threes, shoots more frequently, scores 30 points a game, shoots 56% from the floor.
Yep.
It's ridiculous
Yeah.
how good that is, how efficiently he scores, how easily he scores. Like you mentioned earlier, hey, there's 7 seconds left on the shot clock. Here you go, KD. Go get it, buddy.
Yeah.
Do that rockabye crossover you like to do. Hoist up a 20-footer. It probably goes in. No one can block it. Shrug.
I saw, and look, it was admittedly on the Dallas boards. Okay, so it was a bit of copium. I think you just made a great trade. 24 hours later, you get one-upped big time. But the statement was Luka and Kyrie greater than Booker and KD.
Not a chance.
Not even close.
Not even homerism.
Even if you say Luka's better than Booker, which we're not going to agree with that. But
I would say he is, for the record.
Individually, sure.
Yeah.
Would I say Luka?
Would
I say Luka's better than Kevin Durant?
Hell no.
Yeah.
And would I say Book's better than Kyrie? 100 times, yes.
Exactly.
Because at the very least, Booker's made himself an above-average defender now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Minimum. Even if you think Kyrie's better offensively.
So I'm looking at the team. I think Denver, that would be a good matchup. Jamal Murray's playing a lot better now. Dallas, I think we could kill. But I said this before, and it was bad. But
Dallas presents the same problems now because, the biggest thing you could do with Luka was basically trap him across half court. A lot of teams employed that strategy, and now you can't do that with Kyrie as an outlet for the same problems that they're going to face with going against the Suns. However, the surrounding people there, the supporting cast, Dorian Finney-Smith was their best defender.
Yeah.
So that's gone now, and Kyrie doesn't replace that. Whereas, we lose something with Mikhail's defense, yes, but Kevin Durant is not a bad defender by any means. He's above average, and in the playoffs when he needs to try, he's probably good to great.
Mm-hmm.
So the step down there is not that significant.
I'm not afraid of Memphis. They were already playing bad. They made no real great moves.
Luke Kennard, which they did need some additional shooting. So that's a nice move for them. But Denver didn't really get substantially better. I don't care about Thomas Bryant. That's fine. They needed a backup 5 that they could trust. So for 10 minutes a game, great. But, Jokic is going to be playing 35 a night, and they're not going to play the two together. The Lakers definitely got better, but they're in 13th. Now, they just need to make the play-in game and advance and then raise some hell in the playoffs potentially. But do I think they're better than us? No. The Clippers made a few moves today, smaller ones, but they already have their 2 core pieces. They could definitely be scary. They've been playing well recently. The West is no cakewalk, but we're the best team in the West if healthy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Although we're good. We're good in the West, right?
Yeah. Well, and Ja, that everybody was like, Ja just had to say it, didn't he?
For CJ McCollum to dunk on him for that ultimately is, I think, the most telling.
Yep.
Oh, so we're talking about Dallas, I think, because that's kind of they've become my big rival. Like, there's no, like, they're the hated team right now.
Yeah.
The Lakers are always number one, but Dallas is it, like, the one I hate the most. And the thing that I look at last season, we talked about, you blitz Luka and have him pass, and now he's got an outlet. They blitzed Booker last year hard. We have that outlet better than they do. I don't know how they defend us. And so when I look at a matchup, I don't know how they answer to it. Yeah, maybe they can get in a scoring match with us, but who's going to beat us in an offensive game in a shootout? You also,
while you can, I don't give too much credit to these arguments, but I think they matter a little bit depending on the team. There's only one ball on the floor argument applies a lot more to Dallas than it does to the Suns team for the reasons we just talked about.
Partly personnel, partly system.
Partly personnel, system, efficiency, of the players. Like, Durant doesn't need a ton of shots to hit 30, like we just talked about. So, we just don't have those same concerns.
But you talk about the system. Durant can kind of just slide back into his role he had in Golden State in a way. Like, this Suns team is not as good as that Golden State team is. I don't know that any team can be that good again, but holy shit, this team is amazing. What he has now is amazing. And he can kind of do a very similar thing to what he did in Golden State there, because we have a lot of the similar pieces.
Well, and Dave, let's actually break that down. So we have the top four we've talked about. The fact that we could keep Ayton in this trade, like we talked about, maybe it would have been better keep Bridges and whatever. At the end of the day, though, having Ayton still on the team and engaged, hopefully, that's huge still. Mm-hmm. That's going to help in the Denver matchups and some of those
Philly,
Philadelphia. Yeah, exactly. So you have those four. I've been reading that Durant has been playing a little bit more of the four these days, although he's kind of in some ways positionless, but more of the four. So like if we start, those four and like a Kogi slots into the two, or Damian Lee, like it depends. Do we want that hustle defensive player, or just do we want to kill him with firepower in that first unit? Or if Durant goes a little bit smaller and we start Torrey Craig. Like, that's such a good, like, we have a little bit of everything.
We got the flexibility, and it can be matchup dependent, too, because I could see us facing Memphis in the playoffs and be like, all right, Josh Kogi, go make Ja's life a living hell.
Yeah.
Have fun, Ja. Like, that's all. We don't care if you touch the ball, Josh. Just go make his life hell.
Yeah.
You even have, like, if you played Minnesota, you're like, all right, let's start Bismack Biyombo.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit weird offensively, but with the other four players on the floor, I'm not that worried about the spacing of it.
Yeah.
Like, it would work if you really want to have size to guard both Townsend and Gobert. I don't think you would go that route, but you could.
Yeah.
You have that option.
You don't need to because they suck, but your point is taken. Like, we have flexibility for everything. And so when you look at the depth chart, when Payne comes back, someday, Landry Shamet, same thing. Someday he'll come back.
Maybe.
Somewhat, and less pressure. Like, if Shamet is ever going to prove his worth, ever as a Phoenix Sun, it's going to be now. He's never had a better opportunity to be kind of ignored on our offense and just get up the most open shots I think he's probably ever seen in his career.
Well, Damian Lee's been leading the league in three-point percentage to this point, and he's been playing with half of our team most of the season.
Yeah.
God forbid he's the fifth best scoring option on the floor.
Yeah.
Sounds just great. Getting open shots from kickouts from Durant or Booker or Paul pick and roll actions or whatever.
I mean, we're really, really good. It's going to come down to health, though. Like, at any point, you could almost as easily see all three, except Ayton. Ayton's been pretty reliable, except for his suspension. You could see, like, Paul, Booker, and Durant, like, all being hurt at the same time. It's like, and it wouldn't shock you.
I do think...
Go ahead.
I do think so. Like, Durant's only played 129 regular season games over the last 4 years. He missed an entire season because of the Achilles, so that's a little bit cheating. But even 129 and 3, no, not the best. So that's certainly the concern here. But because we were able to keep Ayton, if Chris Paul is even just an above-average starter, not second-team All-NBA, I think we can even weather somebody being out for short spans. If there's a big injury, obviously that sucks, but that's true of any team. But like, if it's just, let's say, like Ayton tweaks his ankle because that happens to him sometimes and he misses 3 games, I think Paul, Booker, and Durant are going to be fine for a short stretch.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you could have one maybe 2, right?
Maybe 2.
It's like if all 3 go out, though, we're
sure.
You know,
but if the Lakers are without all of D'Angelo Russell, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, they're probably going to be fucking terrible.
How many teams can you say that in the league?
Yeah. Murray, Porter, and Jokic, probably going to be terrible for the Nuggets.
Tatum, Brown, and whoever.
Marcus
Derek
Smart,
White, maybe?
sure.
Marcus
Whomever.
Smart,
Probably going to be pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So that now we're more likely to have players out than them. Like the Celtics, a lot of their success has been because Brown and Tatum in particular have been so durable.
Yeah.
Although Brown's going to be out for 2 weeks now or more because he just got his face broken.
Yep.
But that just goes to show you sometimes the injuries aren't even about injury prone. It's a physical game and shit happens.
Yeah.
Now the difficulty is Durant on the tail end of his career, still his prime, but again, more likely to get hurt. Chris Paul definitely winding down, more likely to get hurt, and Booker's stuff nagging and likely to resurface. So again, we're not naive. We know there's more of a risk with these 3 than others, but you have to do it anyways.
Well, and so the other thing that I wanted to point out when people are saying, I don't know about this trade, or I don't think we should have done it. You make this trade for a superstar. You especially make it for 3 years of a superstar.
Yep.
Like, we have control of Durant for the next 3 years.
And
that's crazy.
Control Booker for the next 5.
Ayton for a while, too. Yeah.
And Ayton for the next 4. Like, we have control, or 3, I guess. But regardless, yeah. This core, those 4 guys, the big 4 we talked about, the next 3 years we have guaranteed.
Now, I'm not going to even get close to uttering the D word, but I'm just saying, people are like, well, it's win this season or bust. It's like, no, it's not. I mean, realistically, we have easily the next 2, probably the next 3, and then we'll see. But having the window reopened, because I do think, unless everything went right, the window was pretty damn near closed right now. We've already talked about it. I've shared my opinion on this. Maybe you two don't agree, but I think the window was real slim. Had we stood pat.
If we stood pat, I would say that the window was still slightly open because of Mikhail's acceleration as a scorer.
Sure.
That was our only hope. But yes, this breaks the window down, basically. It breaks the window back open because someone might have been closing it and Kevin Durant just kicked it open. That's what happened here. And it's wide open for us.
I think you could have still made some other trades at the deadline that would have had us as a fringe contender. I'm not saying John Collins is that guy because apparently nobody in the NBA wants John Collins. But anything that would have been an improvement over Crowder would definitely have helped in the short term and maybe could have been the missing piece, just an injection of fresh air and new life. But, this is an entirely different conversation. It is right from the word go. And you could tell that from the way people talked about the trade in the last 24 hours.
Yeah. I think it raises, again, health being what it is, I think it raises our floor and ceiling, both, which that's always, if you can do both of those, do it every time. We don't need, we can have players having bad games now and it's fine. If 2 of them are on, it's probably going to be all it's going to take to win.
I mean, you want to go back to what you said earlier, where the 4 quarters does not equal $1 in the NBA.
Yeah.
That dollar, I've heard people talk about, you can do a math on basketball where if you have a team of 5 guys and average is a 1, that if you have 4 1s and a 5, that's going to be way better than 4 2s on a team. You know what I mean? It's that big of a difference where if that guy is just that much better, it doesn't matter in a way who his teammates are, even if you have a solid team otherwise. It's just that big of a difference.
For proof, go look at the Nets a few weeks ago when it was just Durant. And, he was doing okay.
I think they won 12 out of 14 at one point when Durant was playing an MVP.
They were the
this
2 seed.
Season.
They were the 2 seed. They're still, this is unbelievable to me, the 4th. Now, obviously, we know why they did what they had to, and it was primarily because of Kyrie, but this is the 4th seed in the East. They're 12 games above 500, and they blew everything up.
Yep.
Again,
their hand was forced, but it's just it just goes to show you how quickly things change in the modern NBA.
But again, I look at, so you can say look at the Nets. Look at that. Look, Durant didn't lead them, and it's well, yeah, but he was surrounded by scrubs as the 2 seed. He's not joining scrubs on the Suns.
And he was surrounded by a guy who I don't know what to say about Kyrie. And I know this podcast isn't about Kyrie, but Jesus Christ, what? I don't understand this guy's thinking. I don't understand what he wants and how thank you, I guess, is all I can say to him for doing this.
Well, he's delusional. I mean, it's true. If you didn't already know it, to hear him talk in the press conference, I was a selfless leader. I always put the team for. It's you just have no concept of reality. And I should have known that because you thought the Earth was flat. But like just to hear you talk, like you're just completely detached. So I heard another rumor, Dave, that I don't know how reliable, but they're like, Kyrie to the Suns could still happen easily. Well, we sign him basically
in the offseason.
Yeah.
At minimum, like.
Well, there's that question. Yes.
Yeah.
It's also part of why he might. You can never predict anything with Kyrie. Might be on his best behavior because he is in line to get a bag in the offseason. So he might be able to survive 3 months with the Mavericks without going off the deep end, or he might not because he's Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, I don't think we go again. The dominoes that had to fall to bring Durant to Phoenix now. It's insane, and it's like it's like borderline miraculous, right? Everything that had to go perfectly for this to happen, and here we are.
Here we are, and it just feels like it still feels like a dream almost. Like I'm just waiting to wake up and be like, oh yeah, sorry, he failed his physical. Never mind, like he's not coming back.
Yeah.
Like,
David Stern has vetoed the trade.
he rose out of the grave, vetoed the trade.
Oh my God, please no.
Yeah. So, we have about 10 minutes left. I wanted to talk about what else do you think we can do to, well, two things. One is a concern that I have for the next couple weeks, and then the other is what can we do to bolster from the buy-in market? Buyout market. Who do you kind of have your eyes on? There's Reggie Jackson. There's Pat Beverly. He's on the buyout. Yeah,
Will
please
Barton.
no. I don't think the Suns would not go for, like the players would be like, no, like we can't do it. I would think.
I think Kevin Durant kind of likes Pat Beverly, but I still would be surprised to see it.
Yeah.
To me, it's Will Barton. I think he's exactly what we need. Like,
yeah.
He's getting older. He's not the player he was, but that's what you're gonna get in the buyout market for the most part. But I think as a seventh guy off the bench, sounds great.
So why not Reggie Jackson anymore? This was a question that I had. Does he suck now?
He doesn't suck. Is he better than Campaign when Campaign's healthy?
Reggie Jackson's kind of always been who he was, and you could hide some of those warts, particularly when he was playing alongside both George and Kawhi Leonard, because he's not really a point guard. He's especially turnover prone for somebody who handles the ball as much as he does. Not a phenomenal shooter, although he definitely upped his three-point percentage with LA for those couple seasons there when they were really relevant. It would be fine. I mean, at this point, it's like, will Campaign ever play basketball again? Because if not, look, Saban Lee's been really good, but I don't have expectations for him in the playoffs. So, like, either Jackson or Barton I would be fine with. If you wanted to pick up another big since Sharch is gone now, you could make the argument for somebody like a Dwayne Dedman, but, like, to me, it's really more about just getting some wings that can play meaningful minutes, just spot minutes, but, like, meaningful minutes in the playoffs.
So I think, if I remember right, I believe we have 2 roster spots open at the moment, which is actually kind of great in a way. So we could do both, theoretically, and I feel like players would want to come here for I want to win a title. Here we go.
Yeah, that's a new thing for Phoenix now,
and the personnel and the location and all those things are a factor, but nobody cared as much about the whole Phoenix mystique when we were sucky.
I mean, we're like one of the few times in our entire history where people would be like, hey, I'm chasing a ring. I'm at the end of my career, or, over the hill. Time to go to Phoenix. Well, that's new. Come on down. That's fine. The new owner, I mean, gets some credit. Maybe, this trade fails spectacularly and it's going to turn into like blame. Again, I don't think it happens because knowing what we know now, he made the right move. But apparently he really made it happen. He pressed Jones to make the deal. He was texting late at night. He was like basically saying, I don't care about the cost. What a change. I mean, I remember Kurt Thomas, like just cutting for barely any salary.
No, actually, it was worse than that. Let me remind you what that was. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even cutting.
Yeah.
Had we just cut him, it would have been fine. We traded Kurt Thomas and 2 first-round draft picks for a second-round draft pick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how bad that was.
Yeah, it was real bad.
And you look at Johnson. Oh my God, I forgot his name now.
Joe Johnson?
Joe Johnson.
Wesley Johnson?
Another
Kevin
terrible.
Johnson?
Like we saved like $5 million. Like
Dennis Johnson?
Some pathetic.
It wasn't $5 million a year. No, it wasn't $5 million a year. It was $5 million total.
Yeah,
over
exactly.
a 4-year deal.
Yeah, so fucking stupid.
So hopefully the penny pinching is done, especially because I mean I think at a certain point, if you're going to pay more than $4 billion for an NBA franchise, you can't really be quibbling over millions anymore.
Yeah.
You really couldn't have before either with Sarver, but we know Sarver was the poorest owner in the NBA, so at least we understood why, even though it was stupid and annoying.
Yep.
It's wonderful. It is a refreshing thing. I mean, a lot of times, sometimes, an owner comes in, new guy comes in and pushes all the buttons and says, hey, we got to get this done. And sometimes it's something that fails because they just want to make a splash. They want to make something big. I don't think that this is this scenario because of who Kevin Durant
is. And if Minnesota fails because they brought Gobert, and you're like, well, that was always going to be like this is not 20 years ago. This is a great trade. In modern NBA, not so much. This is like you traded for an all-time great player. Mm-hmm. And if injuries prevent us from seeing the perfect vision, then, that sucks. But
Ishbia had come in and wanted to be like, I just need to make a splash. Let's go get Kyrie Irving. I don't care what it takes. We'll get Kyrie Irving. It's like, yeah, you made a splash, but did you make us better?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so. Had we traded Chris Paul for Kyrie Irving? We're not making this trade, I don't think. Let's just move both Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving here. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So, great. I'm glad that we were smart about it. We made a splash, but we were also smart about it. And it is nice to have an owner that's just like, all right, it doesn't matter what it costs. Because if you look at the future here, Kevin Durant and DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker in 3 years are basically going to be the salary cap. Yeah. Those three salaries are the salary cap. So we're going to be way up there in 3 years from now.
We just need to now survive the next, I said 2 weeks. It's actually like 1 week, right? Because the 16th is the cutoff. Then it's the All-Star.
It's like 6 days off or something. Yeah. The break keeps getting longer, which is good, I think.
So, and then Durant is supposed to come back. I think borderline he could have come out before it, but let's just hold him. Come after the All-Star break, and, as long as we don't lose every game between now and then, we're going to be in great shape.
I'm pulling up the schedule right now to double-check it, but, we have
East Road trip.
3 games. Yeah, 3 more games till the All-Star break.
And they're all on the road against these teams, and not all of them are very good.
I mean, even if we lose all 3...
Not the end of the world.
That's still... Well, it kicks us to, 11th or 12th.
Yeah, but
it's so easy to then make that back up.
Yeah. If we go 3-3, we're 30-30. Going into the All-Star break. Not the worst thing in the world. We've got a lot left. This is really esoteric, but all of us were kind of looking at maybe going to a game on Friday, February 24th. The tickets are now $121 each, the cheapest. So that's fun.
So we should have pulled the trigger. But
we should have pulled the trigger earlier.
It's kind of like Cody got a bet in last night on 9-1 as the Suns' title favorites because they hadn't quite adjusted immediately after the news. I mean, we're talking minutes after. And now it's like 4-1, so you had to be quick, I guess, because they were. And that's not surprising. The Suns really should raise up the prices. As much as I hate to see it from a consumer perspective, yeah, there's going to be a lot of buzz. It makes sense.
Yep,
and that's very likely his first game, so we blew it.
Well, it's all right. We'll go in the playoffs when it's $900 a ticket.
Yeah, so great. As we wrap up here, then predictions. I want your honest. State of the league, obviously. Don't be like, well, I think they're all 3 going to get hurt. We can't. But full strength, full health. What are we looking at? Let's say this year and 2 years from now.
This trade has put us into the point of, and people don't like saying it. To me, it is championship or bust. We made this trade to win a title in the next 3 years. Or as many as we can in the next 3 years. And to me, that's it. Because especially what's going to happen 5 years from now, the 2028, 2029, without smart management, which I'm not saying we can't do. Miami did similar things. They traded away future first with unprotected and still had a good team, even though they didn't have their picks. The fact that we have 4 draft picks and a pick swap going out the door, all unprotected. So if in 2028 we're terrible, it's like, well, guess what? We lost the number 1 pick. Strangely enough, Brooklyn did 10 years ago. We just we put us in a position to go win the title this year and maybe next year and the year after. That's it. That's what we put ourselves in position to, and that's what we got to do.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but what is your prediction?
Oh, this is it. This is the year we do it because I can't handle a world where we gave up McHale without winning the title.
So not even we could win it this year, but it's iffy with everything. But next year, I think is the big one. You think this year?
I think this is the best opportunity we have right now. Now, next year, I'm not saying it's impossible, especially with having vet minimum guys, taxpayer mid-level players that we can bring in the off season, vet minimums who might want to come in, that type of thing. But still, I think all of our guys, the big guys, Booker got a lot of rest because he was hurt. Paul got a lot of rest because he was hurt. Durant's got a lot of rest because he's hurt. They're all going to hit the playoffs in a relatively fresh sense.
Yeah.
This is it.
All right, what do you think, Chris?
Has to be a title.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we will, but we've already been to the finals. Making it again doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
And I hate being that way because I don't like absorbing sports in a fashion where it's title or bust. But when you put yourself in this position, it is title or bust. Not this year, like some people are saying, as Dave alluded to. We have 3 years with this core, and Durant's still only 34. Mm-hmm. So the question then becomes like, okay, what do you do with Chris Paul? You can get rid of him next year for just half the salary. Nothing's guaranteed the last year. So like you can try and find alternative means if he really is washed. But I feel like Chris Paul can still be a meaningful contributor. And as such, this year is the best year.
Mm-hmm. Well, so again, I agree. But are you like, yeah, so this is the best year and I think it's going to happen?
I don't know. I know it's a boring answer to the question, but I honestly don't care. Yeah. Because my prediction means nothing in the universe does not alter in any way because of it. So, yeah I mean...
But if ESPN taught me anything, it's we have to now take this time to make predictions.
I'm at the very least pleased that no other team got substantially better at the deadline after the Durant trade. Because obviously Kyrie and the Mavs could be a threat depending. But like all the talk about any Raptor being traded, like, Anunoby, Siakam, whatever, they went nowhere. There was talk about Memphis picking up one of those, which would have made them a lot scarier. They didn't. I'm even looking
at Golden State. I'm like, ooh, Sadiq Bey. That's a pretty good pickup for them. He didn't even go there.
No.
They got Gary Payton II, which is good.
They
lost Wiseman, so it's... That's not. I don't look at that and be like, "Oh no!" Now I'm scared all over of Golden State.
I heard that they saved $130 million by getting rid of Wiseman because of luxury tax hell they're in.
Yeah, if healthy, the Suns should win a title.
Mm-hmm.
They should. If there's anything else other than health, there will be no excuses.
Yeah.
Nope.
None. So, in the one way, that's free. In the same way where it's like you have to make this deal. I don't have to sit here and waver about like, God, I don't know. It was very close. Like, if they had wanted. This wouldn't have worked, but say it was all three of Ayton, Bridges, and Johnson, and all the picks and stuff. I'd be like, God, that is so much. Mm-hmm. Even for Durant, like, I don't know. But given the structure of the deal and the fact that I'm so fucking tired of draft picks and draft capital, this trade had to be done. So it's like, all right, we're all in. Like, you shoved the chips in the middle. So we just got to pray for health because at that point, I don't know who beats us.
Yep.
All right.
And It's going to hurt when we're wrong. But hey.
What's your prediction, sir?
I think we get a title by next year, at least one. I would love if I look back in 3 years. I'm like, I don't want to say the dynasty word, but I'm glad to be wrong, and we've won 3 out of the last 5 titles. Awesome, wonderful. But I think the first one, I think it's happened unless there's health or some other freakish thing. But
honestly, the thing that scares me the most and prevents me from wanting just to be like full on predict a Suns title is not even what happens in the playoffs, but the fact that the West is so in flux right now, and you got to be top 6. Because if the Suns are 7th because Durant takes a little longer to come back, or there's another injury setback or something, now you're in like a 1-game play-in, and all bets are off.
Yep.
So at that point, it's like that would be harder to get through than a 7-game series against any team if we're healthy.
Yeah.
So who knows? Like right now, we're sort of in the top half, but that could change quickly, especially as we get through these last few games. Like, I don't know.
And if they need any time to gel, which they might, even though they're all great players. I actually don't think they're going to need that much. But if they do,
that was the funniest thing I saw too. Was like people like, oh, it's going to take a while to get acclimated. And I'm like, can you think of a more plug and play player than Durant? Even LeBron, not so much because Durant plays so well off ball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's easy.
And I go back to the Olympics. Like, we didn't have a team that like went out and like trained a whole. It was like just kind of a mishmash. But the superior talent won.
Yeah, Booker and Holiday flew in after the finals, as we all know.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have a chance to play against them at all. There were no practices or anything, but it's just good basketball talent and IQ. They'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All those players are way too smart not to figure it out.
Yep.
Just let them be on the floor together to do it.
Yeah.
That's the end of the Emergency Suns cast. We will not do a show next Tuesday as recompense, so this is still just going to be like one more episode. We'll be back. Like I have the final screen set up just because I put it in there. We'll be back February 21st, so just 2 Tuesdays from now. And who knows what we'll talk about then. It could be more Suns because at that point, maybe like Durant's about to come and debut or something. I don't know. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But thank you for tuning in. We obviously are very excited and also scared, but mostly excited. We'll see what it means because, God, I just want to win one title. Just one. Oh, there goes that. Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. Okay, there we go. We're back. I just was one in my lifetime, and this feels like our best chance because if it's not this or the next couple of years, oh boy.
Yep.
I just want last to say bye, Mikhail. I'll miss you, buddy.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad. Nothing but the best. No.
He's a player I like so much. I think follow kind of at least loosely his career from here and kind of root for him unless he's playing us.
Maybe he'll come back as a free agent. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right, that's the end of the episode. In between shows, you can find us on our website, objectionnetwork.com or youtube.com/objectionnetwork for new videos 5 days a week. We'll see you next time.